The crisp morning air was invigorating as we arrived at the balloon festival. I, Jason, had planned this weekend meticulously, hoping that a break from our routine would reignite the spark in our marriage. Kate, my wife, had always loved these colorful events, and I was eager to see her enthusiasm. As we parked the car and stepped out, I could already see the vibrant hues of balloons dotting the sky in the distance. "Jason, look at that!" Kate's voice was filled with genuine excitement as she pointed toward the rising balloons. Her eyes sparkled with anticipation, and I couldn't help but smile. We had been looking forward to this festival for weeks, and the idea of spending quality time together at such a lively event seemed perfect. We walked through the festival entrance, surrounded by the sounds of laughter and cheerful chatter. Vendors were setting up their booths, and the aroma of freshly cooked food mingled with the scent of the crisp autumn air. Kate seemed particularly animated, her usual enthusiasm for these events now amplified. As we made our way to the main event area, I noticed Kate's gaze constantly shifting towards a particular balloon setup. The balloonist, a man named Alex, was busy preparing his balloon for the day's flights. Alex was tall and charismatic, with an effortless charm that immediately drew Kate's attention. I watched as she moved closer, her curiosity piqued. "Let's check this out," Kate suggested, tugging gently on my hand. I followed her to Alex's setup, where he was explaining the intricacies of ballooning to a small group of onlookers. Kate's eyes were glued to him as he spoke with passion about the mechanics and artistry behind his craft. Alex's enthusiasm was infectious, and I found myself listening more intently than I had expected. He spoke with a confidence that was both impressive and endearing. I could see why Kate was so captivated. His knowledge and charm were magnetic. "Jason, you have to hear this," Kate said, her excitement bubbling over. "Alex is explaining how the balloons are designed for optimal lift and stability. It's so interesting." I nodded, trying to share in her enthusiasm, but a part of me remained on edge. Kate's fascination with Alex was evident, and while I understood her interest in learning about something new, I couldn't ignore a small nagging feeling that something was slightly amiss. After Alex finished his demonstration, he invited Kate to join him for a more detailed look at his balloon. "Why don't you come with me?" he asked, gesturing toward the balloon. "I'd love to show you the process up close." Kate looked at me with a mixture of eagerness and curiosity. "Do you mind if I go with Alex for a bit? I want to get some great shots and learn more about the balloons." "Sure, go ahead," I said, though I felt a twinge of unease. I reassured myself that it was just my overactive imagination, and that this was a chance for Kate to immerse herself in something she enjoyed. As Kate spent time with Alex, I wandered through other areas of the festival, trying to enjoy the various attractions and activities. The vibrant colors and festive atmosphere were a welcome distraction, but I couldn't shake the feeling that Kate's newfound interest in Alex was more than just a fleeting fascination. The afternoon wore on, and as the sky darkened, the balloons began their evening ascents. The sight of them glowing against the twilight was breathtaking, and I hoped that this shared experience would bring us closer together. I found Kate standing near Alex, her eyes reflecting the glow of the balloons as they floated gracefully overhead. "This has been amazing," Kate said, her voice filled with contentment. "Alex has been so knowledgeable and passionate. I've learned so much today." I smiled, trying to match her enthusiasm. "I'm glad you're having a great time. I just hope this weekend helps us reconnect." Kate reached out and squeezed my hand, her touch warm and reassuring. "It will, Jason. I know it." As we prepared to head back to our accommodation, I couldn't help but feel a lingering sense of uncertainty. The festival had been beautiful, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something had subtly shifted. Kate's excitement about Alex, while seemingly innocent, had left me with questions I wasn't yet ready to confront. The night sky was illuminated by the final balloon launches, their glow a stark contrast to the darkening world below. As I watched the balloons drift higher, I hoped that the festival would be the start of something positive for us. Little did I know that the events of the weekend would unravel in ways I hadn't anticipated, testing our relationship in ways I never thought possible. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the festival grounds, as Kate and I continued to explore the vibrant array of activities. The excitement of the day had only grown, with each moment presenting new opportunities for discovery. But it was clear that Kate's interest had taken a particular turn. Jason, I heard about a special tour led by Alex, Kate said as we walked past a balloon-filled clearing. Her voice was animated, her eyes wide with enthusiasm. He's offering an in-depth look at how the balloons are prepared and managed. I want to join. It sounds fascinating. I looked at her, noting the sparkle in her eyes. Her enthusiasm was genuine, and I could see how much this opportunity meant to her. That sounds great, Kate, I replied, trying to mask my feelings of unease. I'll catch up with you later. I want to take some more photos and explore a bit more. Kate's face lit up with a smile of appreciation. Thanks, Jason. I promise I'll take lots of notes and pictures to share with you later. With a quick peck on the cheek, she waved goodbye and made her way to where Alex was gathering a group for the tour. I watched her leave, feeling a twinge of discomfort, but I shrugged it off and turned my attention to the various festival attractions. The festival was bustling with activity, and I threw myself into the experience with a renewed focus. I wandered through rows of food stalls, sampling gourmet treats and snapping photos of the festival goers. The vibrant colors of the balloons against the deepening blue sky made for some fantastic shots. I found solace in the creative process, letting the camera lens capture the essence of the day. As I moved from one area to another, I couldn't help but notice how the festival seemed to be divided into distinct sections, each offering a unique experience. There were the balloon launches, the arts and crafts booths, and interactive exhibits where children could learn about the science of flight. I spent a considerable amount of time at each, documenting the beauty and energy of the event. I occasionally glanced back toward the spot where Kate had gone with Alex. From a distance, I saw them standing together, engrossed in conversation. Alex's gestures were animated as he spoke, and Kate seemed captivated, her attention wholly focused on him. Despite my best efforts to enjoy the festival, a small part of me felt a gnawing sense of separation. By midday, the festival grounds were teeming with visitors. The line for Alex's tour had grown longer, and I could see Kate, still with Alex, chatting animatedly with other participants. They seemed to be deeply engaged in discussing the nuances of ballooning, their voices merging with the sounds of the festival around them. I decided to take a break and find a quiet spot to sit and reflect. I located a bench under a large oak tree, its shade providing a welcome respite from the afternoon sun. As I sat there, I reviewed the photos I had taken, trying to focus on the positive aspects of the day. The festival was, after all, a beautiful event, and I had to remind myself of the joy it was meant to bring. An hour later, I saw Kate rejoining me, her face flushed with excitement. She was carrying a notebook filled with scribbles and a few photos she had taken during the tour. "Jason, you wouldn't believe how incredible that was," she exclaimed, her eyes shining. "Alex explained everything in such detail. I've learned so much about the balloons and how they're handled. It was amazing." I managed to smile, though I couldn't help but notice how animated Kate was as she spoke about Alex's tour. "That's great to hear," I said. "I'm glad you enjoyed it." Kate began to recount the highlights of the tour, showing me the notes she had taken and the photos she had snapped. Her excitement was contagious, and I tried to stay engaged, listening attentively to her stories. Yet, beneath her enthusiasm, I sensed an underlying current of something I couldn't quite place. As the day wore on, we decided to catch one of the evening balloon launches. The sky was painted in hues of orange and purple, and the sight of the balloons glowing against the twilight was as mesmerizing as ever. Kate's enthusiasm was undiminished, and I found myself appreciating the beauty of the moment, even if I still felt a bit disconnected from her newfound fascination. Kate and I spent the remainder of the evening watching the balloons float gracefully into the night sky. The festival lights illuminated the scene, creating a magical atmosphere. As we stood together, I hoped that the shared experience would help bridge the gap that seemed to have opened between us. Despite the allure of the festival, the feeling of separation lingered in the back of my mind. The festival was in full swing, and each day brought with it a new layer of activity and excitement. Kate and I had settled into a comfortable routine, exploring different aspects of the event and participating in various activities. However, it became increasingly clear that Kate's focus had shifted, and it wasn't entirely on the festival. By the second day, Kate seemed drawn more to Alex than to me. I first noticed it when she eagerly accepted his invitation to join a special behind-the-scenes tour of the balloon preparations. It was presented as a unique opportunity, and while I had initially been supportive, The frequency of their interactions started to raise questions in my mind. On our way to the festival grounds that morning, Kate mentioned with enthusiasm that Alex had asked if she would help with a small project related to balloon design. I was surprised by how excited she was, and I offered to accompany her, but she insisted that it was something she wanted to do on her own. "It's a great chance to learn more and get involved," she said with a bright smile. I reluctantly agreed, hoping that this would just be another fascinating aspect of the festival. However, as the days passed, I noticed a pattern. Kate would often disappear for extended periods, emerging only after having spent hours with Alex. Her phone calls and messages were increasingly frequent, and she seemed to be sharing a level of intimacy with Alex that I hadn't seen before. One afternoon, while exploring the arts and crafts area of the festival, I happened to catch a glimpse of Kate and Alex huddled together near a secluded corner. They were deep in conversation, their body language indicating a level of comfort that was more than just friendly. Alex's hand occasionally brushed against Kate's arm, and I saw her laughing at something he said. Her eyes locked on his with a warmth that made me uneasy. The sight left me with a knot in my stomach. I tried to dismiss it as a figment of my imagination, but the feeling persisted. I couldn't shake the sense that something was happening between Kate and Alex that went beyond mere fascination with the festival. Determined to understand what was going on, I decided to follow Kate discreetly. One evening after dinner, I noticed that she had received a text from Alex. She read it with a smile and then excused herself to attend to something. I decided to follow her at a distance, hoping to uncover more about their interactions. Kate walked through the festival grounds with a purposeful stride, heading towards a quieter area where the evening events had not yet started. I trailed behind, keeping a careful distance. As I approached, I saw her meeting Alex near one of the less crowded balloon stations. They were standing close together, and I could hear snippets of their conversation. "I appreciate you taking the time to show me this," Kate said, her voice low and earnest. "It's been incredible getting to know more about your work." Alex responded with a warm smile. "I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's been nice having someone as interested and enthusiastic as you around." Their conversation continued, with Alex's voice becoming softer and more intimate. I could see the way he looked at Kate. There was a softness in his eyes that suggested something more personal. Kate, too, seemed to be responding to him with an openness that I had not seen before. As they spoke, their proximity increased. Alex's hand rested gently on Kate's shoulder, and she didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned into his touch, her body language reflecting a level of comfort and intimacy that made me uncomfortable. I felt a pang of jealousy and sadness, realizing that their connection had deepened in a way I hadn't anticipated. After a while, Kate and Alex seemed to wrap up their conversation. They shared a lingering look before Kate headed back towards the festival, her demeanor calm and content. I waited a few moments before following her, feeling a mix of frustration and confusion. When we reunited, Kate seemed in high spirits, her energy buoyed by the interaction. "It was great to catch up with Alex," she said cheerfully. "He's passionate about what he does, and I feel like I've learned so much." I forced a smile, trying to mask my unease. "I'm glad you're enjoying it. It seems like you've been having a lot of interesting conversations with him." Kate nodded, her smile unwavering. "Definitely. It's been a wonderful experience." That night, as I lay in bed, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. The intimacy between Kate and Alex was undeniable, and I found myself questioning the nature of their connection. The festival, which was meant to bring us closer, seemed to have created a divide that I hadn't expected. Despite my efforts to remain supportive and understanding, I couldn't ignore the growing distance between Kate and me. The interactions with Alex had taken on a personal and emotional tone, and I was left grappling with the unsettling realization that our weekend of rekindling had taken an unexpected turn. The festival was winding down, and with each passing day, the anticipation for the grand finale grew. As the final weekend approached, excitement was palpable among the festival goers. The promise of a spectacular balloon launch and special events had everyone buzzing, and I was eager to see how the festival would conclude. One evening, as Kate and I were enjoying the festival's lively atmosphere, Alex approached us with a special invitation. "Jason and Kate, I wanted to extend a personal invitation to you both for a private event we're hosting tonight," he said with an inviting smile. "We're debuting a new balloon design, and it would be wonderful to have you both join us." Kate looked at me with enthusiasm, her eyes reflecting her excitement. "It's going to be a special evening," she said. "I've seen the new balloon, and it's supposed to be incredible." I hesitated for a moment, feeling a pang of unease but masking it with a smile. "Sure, we'd be happy to come," I replied. "Thanks for the invitation, Alex." The evening arrived, and we made our way to the designated location for the private event. It was a secluded area of the festival grounds, beautifully decorated with fairy lights and lanterns. The atmosphere was intimate, with a select group of guests gathered around a covered area where the new balloon was to be unveiled. As we entered, I noticed that the event had a distinctly exclusive feel. There was a sense of excitement and anticipation in the air. Alex greeted us warmly and led us to a prime spot where we could get a good view of the proceedings. Kate, as usual, was drawn to Alex, and their interaction was immediately noticeable. They exchanged animated conversations, their body language suggesting a level of closeness that was increasingly apparent. Alex's hand would occasionally brush against Kate's, and their laughter seemed to come more easily when they were together. The evening's highlight was the unveiling of the new balloon. As the cover was removed, the crowd gasped in awe at the sight of the elaborate design, a striking combination of colors and patterns that glowed softly in the dim light. The balloon was truly a marvel, and the excitement was palpable as Alex explained the intricate details of its design. Kate was beside herself with enthusiasm, her eyes sparkling with admiration. She stood close to Alex, eagerly absorbing every word he said. I could see how much this moment meant to her, and I wanted to share in her excitement. However, it was becoming increasingly difficult to ignore the growing distance between us. Throughout the event, Kate and Alex were often at the center of attention. They shared inside jokes, exchanged knowing glances, and appeared to be in their world. I tried to participate in the conversation, but it was clear that Kate's focus was primarily on Alex. Their connection seemed to overshadow my presence. As the evening progressed, I noticed that Kate and Alex were frequently nearby. They shared a private conversation away from the group, their interaction filled with smiles and soft laughter. At one point, Alex placed a gentle hand on Kate's lower back as they walked together, and Kate responded with a smile that conveyed a level of comfort and intimacy. I found myself feeling increasingly sidelined, a spectator to a relationship that was unfolding right before my eyes. The private event, which I had hoped would bring us closer together, had instead highlighted the growing bond between Kate and Alex. It was a stark contrast to the connection I had hoped for, and the sense of alienation was hard to ignore. Despite my efforts to engage and enjoy the event, the atmosphere felt increasingly strained. I could see how much Kate enjoyed being in Alex's company, and it was evident that their interactions were becoming more personal. The evening was meant to be a celebration, but for me, it had become a poignant reminder of the divide that had developed between Kate and me. As the event drew to a close, the guests began to disperse, and the night sky was illuminated by the soft glow of the balloon lights. I could see Kate and Alex sharing a quiet moment, their conversation hushed and intimate. I stood apart, feeling the weight of the evening's events and the growing realization that our relationship was being tested in ways I hadn't anticipated. When we finally left the event, Kate seemed euphoric, her energy buoyed by the evening's experiences. "Jason, that was incredible," she said, her voice filled with excitement. "Alex outdid himself with the new balloon. I'm so glad we could be a part of it." I nodded, forcing a smile. "I'm glad you enjoyed it, Kate. It was a beautiful event." As we walked back to our accommodation, I couldn't shake the feeling of being an outsider in what was supposed to be a shared experience. The evening had highlighted the growing closeness between Kate and Alex, and I was left grappling with the reality of a relationship that seemed to be slipping further away from me. The festival had been a whirlwind of activity, and as the days wore on, the growing distance between Kate and me became harder to ignore. It was late one evening, and the festival grounds had begun to quiet down. The soft hum of distant conversations and the occasional burst of laughter were the only sounds that filled the night air. I had been grappling with a feeling of unease, one that had only intensified with each passing day. The intimacy between Kate and Alex was becoming increasingly evident, and I could no longer deny the growing suspicion that something more was happening between them. It was a gut feeling I couldn't shake, and I knew I had to confront it head on. That night, I decided to follow Kate, determined to uncover the truth. The festival lights had dimmed, and the grounds were bathed in the soft glow of lanterns and the faint light of the moon. I waited until Kate left our tent, her steps light and purposeful. She was dressed casually but elegantly, and I noticed her excitement as she walked towards the more secluded part of the festival grounds. I followed at a distance, my heart pounding with a mix of anxiety and determination. The path Kate took led her to a quieter area where the festival tents were set up. I watched as she approached a particular tent, the one I had seen Alex use for various private activities during the festival. The tent was partially illuminated from within, and I could make out the silhouette of Alex as he stood near the entrance, waiting for Kate. My breath caught in my throat as I saw them exchange a warm smile and a brief, affectionate touch. It was a moment that spoke volumes, and I felt a chill run down my spine. I found a spot near the tent, hidden behind a row of nearby bushes. My hands were clammy as I tried to steady my breathing, the gravity of the situation hitting me hard. Through the thin walls of the tent, I could hear snippets of their conversation. The sounds of their voices, although muffled, were filled with an unmistakable intimacy. "Alex, this has been such an incredible experience," Kate said softly, her voice tinged with warmth and affection. "I never imagined I'd get to know you so well during this festival." Alex's response was equally tender. "I've enjoyed spending time with you, Kate. It's been wonderful to share this with someone who appreciates it as much as you do." The words they exchanged were a mix of flirtation and endearment. Alex's voice was soft and reassuring, while Kate's laughter was light and filled with a kind of joy that was different from what I was used to hearing. Their conversation flowed easily, punctuated by moments of closeness and shared affection. I pressed my ear against the thin wall of the tent, trying to catch more of their dialogue. "I feel like we've created something special together," Kate said, her voice barely above a whisper. "This connection, it's more than I expected." Alex responded with a gentle, almost seductive tone. "I felt the same way, Kate. It's been incredible getting to know you. I just wish this moment could last forever." The realization hit me like a physical blow. The connection between Kate and Alex was not just about the festival or the ballooning. It was something deeper, more personal, and undeniably intimate. The evidence of their closeness was clear, and it became painfully apparent that their relationship had evolved into something beyond mere friendship. I felt as though the ground had been ripped out from under me. The pain of the discovery was sharp and disorienting, leaving me reeling as I struggled to process what I had just heard. The vision of Kate and Alex together, their words and actions full of affection, was a stark contrast to the distance I had felt growing between us. Unable to bear it any longer, I turned and walked away from the tent, my mind spinning with a mix of emotions. The night air was cool against my skin, but it did little to soothe the burning sense of betrayal and confusion that filled me. I walked aimlessly, trying to clear my head and make sense of the revelation. The festival, which had once seemed like a vibrant escape, now felt like a stage for a painful reality I could no longer ignore. The joy and excitement I had hoped to rekindle with Kate had been overshadowed by the undeniable truth of her relationship with Alex. The discovery left me grappling with feelings of hurt, anger, and a profound sense of loss. The journey back home from the festival was quiet and heavy with unspoken words. Kate and I spent the drive in strained silence, the distance between us palpable. The revelations of the past few days hung over me like a dark cloud, and I was struggling to come to terms with the reality of what I had witnessed. When we finally arrived at our house, the familiar surroundings seemed oddly comforting and alien at the same time. The house, which had once been a sanctuary, now felt like a stage for the confrontation I had been dreading. As we stepped inside, I could feel the weight of the unspoken conversation pressing down on both of us. Kate went straight to the kitchen, her movements automatic and detached. I followed her, my mind racing with a mix of anger, confusion, and a desperate need for clarity. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself before broaching the subject that had been haunting me. "Kate," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "we need to talk." Kate turned to face me, her expression guarded. "Sure, Jason. What's on your mind?" I took a deep breath, feeling the gravity of the moment. "I know what's been happening with you and Alex. I saw you two together at the festival, and I heard what you said to him. I need to understand what's going on." Her eyes widened slightly, and I saw a flicker of guilt pass over her face. She looked away, unable to meet my gaze. Jason, I, I didn't know how to tell you. I've been trying to figure out how to handle this. I felt a surge of frustration. Handle what, Kate? What's going on between you and Alex? Kate took a deep breath, her shoulders sagging as if the weight of her emotions was finally pressing down on her. Jason, I didn't plan for this to happen. It just developed. Alex and I have grown closer over the past few days, and I didn't expect my feelings to become so intense. The admission was like a punch to the gut. I felt a mix of betrayal and sadness as the reality of her words sank in. So it's true then. You and Alex have been seeing each other in a way that goes beyond friendship? Kate nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. Yes, Jason. We've been having an affair. I didn't want to hurt you, but I can't deny it anymore. I care about Alex. It's not just physical, it's emotional too. I've developed real feelings for him. The confession was a crushing blow. The pain I felt was visceral, a raw ache that seemed to reverberate through every part of me. I struggled to process the words, the betrayal searing through me. So, this wasn't just a temporary thing for you. You've been involved with him? Kate's voice was trembling. Yes. I didn't want this to happen. I didn't mean for it to go this far, but it did. I'm so sorry, Jason. I know this is devastating, and I don't know how to fix it. The room felt like it was closing in on me. The realization of her feelings for Alex, the depth of their connection, it all felt overwhelming. How long has this been going on? How could you keep this from me? It started slowly, Kate said, her voice choked with emotion. At first, it was just an interest in his work, but then it grew into something more. We found a connection that I didn't expect, and it just happened. I know I should have been honest with you, but I was afraid of hurting you. The tears that streamed down her face mirrored my feelings of loss and disillusionment. I felt a mixture of anger and sadness, struggling to reconcile the woman I loved with the reality of her actions. Kate, I don't even know who you are right now. The person I thought I knew would never do this. How could you not see the damage this would cause? I know, Kate said, her voice barely above a whisper. I've been selfish. I didn't think clearly, and I didn't consider how much this would hurt you. I'm so sorry, Jason. I never wanted to hurt you like this. I shook my head, trying to process the enormity of the situation. I need to understand why this happened. Was there something missing in our relationship that made you turn to someone else? Kate's eyes were filled with anguish. It's not about you, Jason. It's about my feelings and mistakes. I've been struggling with myself, and I let my emotions get the better of me. I don't want to blame you for what happened, but I know I've let you down. The conversation was draining, leaving me feeling emotionally spent. The revelation of Kate's affair had shattered the foundation of our relationship, and the road to understanding or reconciliation seemed uncertain. As we stood there, the silence that followed was heavy with the weight of broken trust and unresolved pain. The days following Kate's confession were marked by an intense strain in our relationship. The tension between us was palpable, filling every interaction with a sense of unease. Our conversations, once filled with warmth and affection, had become fraught with conflict and raw emotions. The discovery of Kate's affair with Alex had created a chasm between us that seemed impossible to bridge. Kate tried to explain her actions, her voice tinged with both regret and a desperate need for understanding. Jason, it's not just about what happened with Alex. It's about how he made me feel valued and appreciated. He showed a genuine interest in my passions and dreams, something I felt was missing between us. I know it doesn't justify my actions, but I need you to understand that it was more than just physical attraction. Her words, while sincere, only deepened the hurt I felt. The idea that she found solace and connection in someone else, someone who recognized and nurtured her interests, was a painful realization. I felt a mix of betrayal and confusion, grappling with the fact that the emotional gap she described had led her to someone else. I understand that you were looking for something, Kate, but why couldn't you come to me? Why did it have to be with Alex? As we navigated through the turmoil, I struggled to balance my feelings of resentment with an attempt to empathize with her perspective. The anger and sense of betrayal were overwhelming, yet part of me wanted to grasp the reasons behind her actions. We both were caught in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions, trying to make sense of a situation that had upended our lives and tested the very foundation of our relationship. In the aftermath of our painful discussions, Kate and I reached a breaking point. The weight of our fractured relationship became too heavy to bear, and we both knew that we needed space to figure out our next steps. It was a mutual decision, though the reality of it felt more like a surrender than a solution. We agreed to take a break, a pause that would hopefully provide us with the clarity we so desperately needed. Kate made the difficult decision to leave our home and stay with Alex. The sight of her packing her belongings was a wrenching experience. Each item she placed in her suitcase felt like a symbol of our life unraveling. Her departure was both an end and a beginning, an end to the life we once shared, and a beginning for her and Alex, whatever that might entail. Left alone, I wandered through our house, now feeling like a ghostly reminder of better times. The quiet was deafening, filled with echoes of laughter and conversations that seemed to belong to another lifetime. I was haunted by memories of what once was, and the pain of seeing our relationship come apart was compounded by a deep sense of regret. How had we reached this point? Could things have been different if I had noticed the signs sooner or addressed our issues more directly? As the days passed, I was engulfed by a mixture of introspection and anguish. The solitude offered me the chance to reflect on our relationship and to sift through the good times and the bad. Yet with each passing moment, the sense of loss only grew sharper. The search for a way forward was clouded by the constant reminder of how we had arrived at this juncture, a painful reality that left me grappling with unanswered questions and the lingering hope that maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for redemption. As the days turned into weeks, I found myself adjusting to a reality that was both unfamiliar and disconcerting. The festivals we once attended together had become the backdrop for Kate and Alex's evolving relationship. I saw glimpses of their new life through social media and occasional updates from mutual friends. The images of them enjoying the events we had once shared were a constant reminder of the stark contrast between our past and present. Despite the sharp pang of seeing them together, I slowly began to accept the reality of the situation. Kate and Alex appeared to be building something genuine and fulfilling, a realization that both stung and strangely offered a sense of closure. It was clear that their connection had blossomed, and as painful as it was to witness, I had to acknowledge that their happiness was no longer tied to my own. In the quiet moments of reflection, I found solace in the prospect of moving forward. The festivals that had once symbolized our shared experiences now represented opportunities for me to redefine my path. I began to focus on finding new avenues for joy and fulfillment, seeking out activities and interests that had long been overshadowed by our relationship. I started attending local art exhibits, exploring new hiking trails, and reconnecting with friends I had neglected over the years. Each new experience helped me rebuild a sense of self and purpose. The process of rediscovery was both challenging and liberating. It required confronting the pain of the past while embracing the potential of the future. I realized that moving on was not about erasing the memories or the hurt, but about creating new moments of happiness and finding peace within myself. As I ventured into new experiences and explored fresh opportunities, I began to understand that this new chapter was not merely about surviving the aftermath of my broken relationship, but about thriving in a way that honored my growth and resilience. The journey was far from easy, but it was one that ultimately led to a renewed sense of hope and the possibility of a brighter future. As the months passed, the process of rebuilding my life took shape in ways I had never imagined. Each day became an opportunity for personal growth and self-discovery. I began to embrace a new routine that prioritized my well-being and allowed me to explore interests I had long neglected. The quiet mornings spent journaling and reflecting on my experiences soon gave way to invigorating activities like hiking through nature trails, attending creative workshops, and reconnecting with old friends who had been a source of support and inspiration. The festivals and events that once symbolized shared experiences with Kate now represented a blank canvas for me to paint new memories. I found myself attending different events and exploring activities that had once seemed foreign but were now sources of joy and fulfillment. Whether it was attending an art gallery opening, taking a cooking class, or simply enjoying a peaceful day at the beach, each new experience helped me rebuild a sense of identity and purpose. Amid this transformation, I often reflected on the lessons learned from my past relationship. The pain and heartache had been profound, but they had imparted valuable insights into the nature of relationships and the importance of genuine connection. I came to understand the significance of being present and attentive in my interactions with others. It became clear that authenticity and emotional awareness were key to nurturing meaningful and fulfilling relationships, both with myself and those around me. Saying goodbye to the past was not an act of forgetting, but of honoring what had been. I acknowledged the valuable lessons and cherished the memories that had shaped me. The farewell was marked by a sense of closure and acceptance, recognizing that while the past could not be changed, it paved the way for personal growth and a deeper understanding of myself. The journey had not been easy, but it had led me to a place of renewed clarity and strength. As I looked forward, I did so with a heart full of hope and anticipation for what lay ahead. The future was filled with possibilities, and I was determined to approach it with a fresh perspective and an open heart. Embracing this new chapter, I carried with me the lessons of the past, committed to living authentically, appreciating the present moment, and building a life that reflected my true self. The road ahead was one of discovery and renewal, and I was ready to walk it with courage and optimism.